Thank you, Program Director. Your Excellency, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana, and AU champion on gender and development issues in Africa. As President came to sit down, I asked him, how did he manage to get this outstanding appointment to be champion for gender? Because that is a role that nearly every president would like to have. And may I say, all protocol observed. I'm overjoyed to have this opportunity. And allow me to begin by thanking my brother and my friend, President Nana Akufo-Addo, for convening this very important engagement in your capacity as AU Gender Champion. The 2021 Kinshasa Declaration commits us to provide the necessary resources to end violence against women and girls. The Circle of Champions will lead in amplifying this agenda across our continent. The aim is to facilitate high-level strategic political engagement at heads of state and government level, and to ensure that we drive accountability towards ending violence against women and girls. South Africa wholly supports this critical platform. It is encouraging to see heads of states responding positively in one and many ways to the call for more strategic collaboration to take this agenda forward. It is heartening to keep hearing messages right across many countries on the continent as heads of state and government articulate the very strong messages on gender-based violence and also on empowering the women of our continent. We are grateful for the opportunity to work with the successive AU chairs in this regard, namely His Excellency President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo and His Excellency Macky Sall of the Republic of Senegal. The Circle of Champions is about, firstly, foregrounding the role of male leadership in the agenda of ending violence against women and girls across our continent. Secondly, it is about taking forward the commitments made in the Kinshasa Declaration and foregrounding accountability for delivering on these commitments. For these reasons, the agenda must be driven at head of state level. Beyond being a persistent challenge across the region and the world, violence against women and children and young girls undermines our efforts to realize the aspirations contained in the UN's Agenda 2030 and the AU's Agenda 2063 in relation to the Africa that we want. Achieving gender equality and empowering women and girls was a focus area during South Africa's term as AU chair in 2020. Some of the high-level actions I identified when we were chair at the plenary included a rapid review of discriminatory laws related to violence against women in all African countries, for there are still quite a number of discriminatory laws against women. The second one was the development and adoption of an AU Convention on Violence Against Women. The third was advocacy for the ratification of the ILO Convention 190 on violence and harassment in the world of work against women. And the fourth one was women's financial inclusion. Of course, 2020 was the year of COVID-19, and we had to rapidly change gear to devote our attention to managing this pandemic. However, we did not let this pivotal issue fall off the agenda or by the wayside. On reviewing discriminatory laws through a partnership with the Center for Human Rights at the University of Pretoria in South Africa, we conducted an initial literature review on laws that perpetuate violence against women and girls in the region. This was followed by a more in-depth study covering 25 countries across diverse geographic, linguistic, and legal systems on our continent. This work will be an important foundation as we develop and adopt a convention. It provides updated information on the status of women's rights, the status of violence against women in these countries, and the legislation that is in place in all these countries. It identifies gaps and makes recommendations on how to address them. It is a start, does not encompass the entire continent, but it is an important study that is going to be able to stand up as a mirror so that we can look at ourselves in terms of the laws, the conventions, and the practices that we have on our continent in many countries in terms of violence against women. The development of an African Union Convention on ending violence against women and girls is a priority that we need to move forward with collectively as the Circle of Champions. Finding ways to engage with heads of state in different sub-regions of our continent and in the respective fora, in which we play leadership roles, can contribute significantly in this process. An ILO Convention 190, in December 2021, South Africa became the 10th member state of the ILO to ratify the convention. Making the world of work free of violence and harassment will unleash women's potential and enable other vulnerable workers to enjoy safe and healthy work environments. Because indeed, women are hugely harassed in the workplace. And it is a matter that we need to take up very seriously. As male masculinity manifests itself in the workplace in ways that are quite shocking. Through the Generation Equality Forum, South Africa advocated for preferential procurement and financial inclusion of women. We have introduced and are implementing our own policy that sets aside 40% of public procurement spend for women-owned businesses. And we are inculcating this culture in government departments so that those who operate in the procurement field should be quite aware that whenever we have as government to spend money, 40% of that spend must be spent through women-owned businesses. As co-leader of the Action Coalition on Economic Justice and Rights, South Africa believes strongly that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area can play a significant role in closing the gender income gap and in creating opportunities for women-owned businesses. Since South Africa advocated for adopting the Protocol on Women in Trade by the AU in 2020 in December, the AFCFTA Secretariat has made steady progress in developing a framework for women's economic participation. Africa-wide consultations were held with women business owners and informal traders. This culminated in the Regional Conference on Women in Trade in Tanzania at the end of 2022. South Africa is encouraged by the progress that has been made in driving high-level actions across the region, and we must definitely build on these collectively. Ratifying ILO Convention 190 is an integral part of realizing the vision of the current AU Decade on Financial and Economic Inclusion on Women. It is encouraging that of the 25 countries globally that have ratified, 6 are in our region. Of the 10 countries in which it is in force, 4 are in Africa. So we hope to see the whole continent ratifying Convention 190. The AU has embarked on a campaign across the region to shift social norms with respect to gender equality and violence against women and girls. Addressing economic and political practices alongside social norms is critical. Moreover, it is key to understanding how history and current realities shape the manifestation of violence against women and children in our societies. 29 years ago, at the dawn of our democracy, President Nelson Mandela said, "Freedom cannot be achieved unless women have been emancipated from all forms of oppression. Our endeavors must be about the liberation of the woman, the emancipation of the man, and the liberty of the child." The Circle of Champions brings together African leaders as a show of the highest political will towards ending the source of violence against women and girls. It is the first time this has happened on our continent, so the focus is increasing. Whilst the focus on this whole scourge of violence against women and girls is increasing, we must continue to spread the message so that all and sundry on our continent become more and more aware that we are a continent that respects women, we are a continent that recognizes the role that women play, and we are a continent that applauds the women of our continent, Mother Africa. As President Mandela rightly said, women's liberation must be at the center of our endeavors to lay claim to being truly free societies. As the Circle of Champions let us continue to learn from each other, support each other, and most importantly, hold ourselves and each other accountable for bringing about the change that we want to see in the world and also on our continent. I thank you for this opportunity.
Your Excellencies, thank you for your leadership and your dedication towards advancing Africa's gender agenda. Without further ado, let me tell you the difficult role that I have right now. Our Excellencies and our leaders have to leave in 10 minutes tops because the summit has already started. So we are going to do magic. In 10 minutes, we're going to hear from Her Excellency, the Deputy Chairperson. And okay, so I'm getting a sign from Her Excellency, the Deputy Chairperson. In 10 minutes, His Excellency, the President of Ghana, is going to do two things. He's going to hand over the awards to the Circle of Champions that His Excellency, the President of South Africa, has been speaking about. But he will also quickly launch the AU-UN Women's Strategy on Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment. And after that, Your Excellency, the DCP, you are going to close for us immediately after the handover of the awards. So at this point in time, may I request Madam Diop and Maxime to help guide the next process. Madam Diop, may I ask you, Your Excellency, to please come. So we are going to, quickly do that. Madam Diop, Excellency, the DCP,